Hey everybody, it's Ron from Pick Dawgz, and this is Ron's Rundown. We're going to go over the MLB game scheduled for Thursday, June 15th, 2023. Now, if you like what you see, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below, and if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at the Premium Picks tab at Pickdawgz.com. Alrighty, let's get into it. Here are the games for Thursday in Major League Baseball. First up, it's the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Baltimore Orioles. Yusei Kikuchi and Tyler Wells are your starters. Now, at the beginning of the season, the Orioles were hitting lefties very well, but not so much in the last 30 days. The Orioles are 25th in OPS and 25th in WRC Plus against those lefties in the last month. But here's the thing, they're facing a lefty that they've hit very well recently. I mean, last year, Yusei Kikuchi against the Orioles, he had an 8.1 ERA. At Camden Yards, his ERA was above 7. Gave up a lot of home runs, a lot of walks, a lot of base hits, of course. And, we know Kikuchi last year really struggled on the road, was much better at Rogers Center. This season, the same thing. He's got a 3.56 ERA at Rogers Center and 30 1/3 innings of work with 35 strikeouts. But on the road, lets in a strikeout per inning, only 29 Ks in 36 innings, and a 5.0 ERA. So even though the Orioles, as of late, haven't been the best lineup against left-handed pitchers, I still think they can get to Kikuchi here. And Tyler Wells has been good enough behind the Orioles' strong bullpen that I think the Orioles can grab a win here at Camden Yards where they play such good baseball. I'm going to take the Baltimore Orioles here on the money line. Next up, it's the Tampa Bay Rays taking on the Oakland Athletics. We're going to see Taj Bradley and Paul Blackburn on the mound in this one. Paul Blackburn, the former All-Star from last year, has pitched so pretty well in his first 3 starts at the big league level this season. 3.6 ERA. Struggled against the Marlins back on June 4th, but bounced back in a big way in his last start against the Brewers. 6 innings of shutout baseball with 5 strikeouts and a 2-1 A's win. The A's are 2-1 on the money line in his first 3 starts this year. I think he pitches pretty well in this game. I mean, the Tampa Bay Rays not having the best results against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days, where they are right now ranked 21st in baseball in team OPS, 15th in WRC Plus, so right around league average, a little bit below league average numbers for Tampa Bay. We know the A's are playing their best baseball of the season, that's for sure. Taj Bradley not really in the best of form going into this start. He struggled. He's been struggling his last couple of games with his control, and I do think the A's can do some damage against him. Get on the board early and cover this run line as the home underdog. So give me the Oakland A's plus the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Philadelphia Phillies taking on the Arizona Diamondbacks. We're going to see Aaron Nola and Ryan Nelson on the mound in this one. Now, Aaron Nola really struggled in his last start, 6 1/3 innings, 6 earned runs against the Phillies, but I do think he is trending in the right direction. He's starting to miss some more bats. He has 19 strikeouts in his last 13 1/3 innings of work, and I do think he's the better option here compared to Ryan Nelson, who has really struggled at Chase Field this season in 35 1/3 innings of work. Nelson has a 6.62 ERA, a 324 opponent's batting average. We know what the Phillies did on Tuesday night in this series, 15 runs scored. This offense is starting to turn it around against righties and against lefties. I think they have the better option on the mound to start this game. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Phillies on the money line. Next up, we see the Minnesota Twins taking on the Detroit Tigers. Matthew Boyd and Sonny Gray are your starters. Now, like many pitchers in baseball, almost every single pitcher in baseball, starting pitcher-wise, Sonny Gray is most efficient when he's facing the lineup the first 2 times through the order compared to the 3rd time around the order. And I do think that's why we see Sonny Gray very often only pitch 5 innings, maybe 6 at the most. We've seen that in the last month or so. And I think that's where he's the most effective. That's why I like the Twins here in the first 5 innings, as I do think Sonny Gray pitches well in the first half of this ball game. He's got a 2.25 ERA overall this season, but even better numbers at Target Field with a 1.71 ERA. The Twins are improving against left-handed pitchers, and they're facing a lefty here in Matthew Boyd. Now, Boyd's been much better on the road this season than he has been at Comerica Park, but I still don't love his game in this spot against the Twins team. Like I mentioned, improving their numbers against lefties. I think the Twins have the lead at the end of the first 5 innings. I think the Twins go on to win this game as well, so you could split your bet with the first 5 play and the full game run line, but I'm just going to take the Minnesota Twins here, minus a half a run in the first 5. Next up, it's the Colorado Rockies taking on the Atlanta Braves with Kyle Freeland going for Colorado. No official starter for the Braves right now. We'll have to see who they decide to go with. It's tough for the Tigers and the Braves have to manage their bullpens and their rotations after that doubleheader on Wednesday, but I still like the Braves lineup in this matchup against Kyle Freeland. In the last decade or so, there hasn't been many Rockies pitchers that have much better numbers at home at Coors Field than they do on the road. But Kyle Freeland's one of those guys. He's been a Rocky for quite a while, and this season, a 3.19 ERA at Coors Field in 42 and third innings of work, so really good numbers at home, but a 4.81 ERA in 33 and two-thirds innings away from Coors Field, and only 13 strikeouts, so he's really not missing a lot of bats on the road. He has 8 home runs allowed compared to 4 at Coors Field. So he's, his numbers are far worse on the road this season. That's concerning. I mean, he's 1-5 win-loss record as well. The Braves hit lefties very well this season, and you look at the last 30 days, Atlanta's number 2 in baseball in team OPS, number 2 in isolated power, a low strikeout rate. I think they get to Kyle Freeland, so you could take the team total over, but I'm just going to take the Atlanta Braves on the run line. Next up, we see the Los Angeles Angels taking on the Texas Rangers. Shohei Ohtani and Nathan Eovaldi are your starters. Interesting game here, pretty good pitching matchup on paper, but I actually think because of that good pitching matchup on paper, Shohei Ohtani being one of the more popular pitchers to bet on in baseball, I think we're getting some value on the over in this game, but I'd also lean towards the Rangers on the money line, as this has been the best lineup in baseball against right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days, and Shohei Ohtani not really in the best of form, on the mound. His control's been off quite a bit this season. We've seen certain spots and certain starts where he's walked 4+ batters, including his last game against the Mariners, 5 innings of work, 5 walks, a home run, and 3 earned runs allowed. He still had those 6 strikeouts, and we know Shohei Ohtani's going to miss a lot of bats. He's got 102 strikeouts already this season. But like I said, that control has been off from time to time. Facing a Rangers team that's got really good OPS numbers and isolated power numbers against the right-handed pitchers in the last 30 days, I do think Ohtani could struggle in this start on the road. Nathan Eovaldi's also not been that great at home this season. He's been much better on the road, where he's got a sub 2 ERA. But at home this year, a 3.38 ERA. He is beatable when he's pitching at Globe Life Field. This is a solid Angels lineup as well. I mean, they're 4th best in WRC plus against righties. So I think we see a high-scoring game. I'm going to take the Rangers on the money line as well. Give me the over and the Rangers. Next up, we see the Pittsburgh Pirates taking on the Chicago Cubs. Johan Oviedo and Marcus Stroman are your projected starters. I'm going to take the Cubbies in this game. Neither team has been very consistent offensively in the last 30 days. We've seen great performances. We've seen miserable performances from both of these lineups a few times in the month of June already. But I do think Marcus Stroman is the more reliable starting pitcher, and especially when he's pitching at Wrigley Field, where, last year he struggled at Wrigley, but this season a 2.15 ERA in 46 innings of work. He's got really good ground ball stuff, but he's also been able to miss a good amount of bats this year, 73 strikeouts overall this season. I think the Cubs are the better side here, so give me the Chicago Cubs on the money line. Next up, we see the Houston Astros taking on the Washington Nationals. Mackenzie Gore and Christian Javier are your starters. I'm going to take the over in this game. You got Mackenzie Gore on the mound for Washington. I've mentioned plenty of times, this is a starting pitcher that has struggled against teams that hit lefties well. I mean, it makes sense, but we saw again, Mackenzie Gore's last start against the Atlanta Braves, one of the toughest lineups to face as a lefty. Gore gives up 5 earned runs and 2 home runs in 5 innings of work in a 6-4 Nationals loss. So with Gore struggling against teams that hit lefties well, facing the Astros here, who are 5th best in team OPS and isolated power against southpaws in the last 30 days, I don't really like Gore's chances. We know the Nationals have one of the worst bullpens in baseball to go with it, so I do think Houston has a big day at the dish. However, Christian Javier's last start against the Guardians, a team similar to the Nationals, a team that limits strikeouts at the plate against righties and against lefties, Javier struggled in that game. Javier is a strikeout-dependent starter. If he's not earning those missed bats, I do think he's going to struggle. We saw 5 innings, 7 base hits, 4 earned runs, and 3 walks against those Guardians in a 10-9 loss. I'm going to take the over here in Washington-Houston. Next up, we see the Cleveland Guardians taking on the San Diego Padres with Logan Allen and Yu Darvish on the bump in this one. Yu Darvish has been excellent at home this season with a 2.68 ERA and 37 innings of work. Great strikeout numbers, a low opponent's batting average of .214. I know the Guardians don't really, swing and miss a lot. This is a team that doesn't really strike out much, but I still think Darvish puts together a good outing. And Logan Allen, a left-handed pitcher on the other side. The Padres have been really solid against lefties as of late. We saw that in that Coors Field series against the Rockies, but even at home here, we saw Logan Allen give up 5 earned runs and 9 base hits in his last start against another team that hits lefties well in the Houston Astros. I think San Diego gets on the board early in this one. I think Yu Darvish puts together a 5-6 inning good outing. I'm going to take the San Diego Padres and lay the 1.5 runs. Next up, we see the Chicago White Sox taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers, the final game for Thursday's card in Major League Baseball. And it's not really my favorite game on the board, that's for sure. I won't be rushing to the window for it. But if I had to choose something, I would take the over in the first 5 innings. Michael Grove is, as of late, his last 2 starts, 9 innings and 8 earned runs with 2 home runs to go with it. He has given up a good amount of sharp contact, and usually when he misses inside the zone because he hasn't really been walking a lot of guys. Only 1 walk in those last 2 starts, but he has given up 2 home runs in those 2 games. So Chicago's not the best lineup. We know that against righties or against lefties, but I do think they can get on the board early against Michael Grove. And Dylan Cease, he's looking better as of late, but on the road this season, he's really been tough to trust. He's got 30 1/3 innings away from home, a 5.34 ERA. He is known to have control issues. He's got really good strikeout stuff, but he's also known to miss inside the zone as well, similar to Grove, where we've seen Cease give up a lot of sharp contact, good amount of extra base hits at times. So a very good Dodgers lineup at home. I do think they'll be able to get to Dylan Cease early, and that's why we see a pretty steep total in a game like this. Even though we've got one of the better pitchers in the American League from last year, I like the over in the first 5 innings. I would probably lean towards the full game over as well, as the White Sox bullpen not the best. And that's it. Those are the games for Thursday in the MLB. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe, and don't forget to put your baseball picks in the comments section below. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can find those at Pick Dawgz Premium. As always, this is Ron Romanelli. Good luck.